You are neither fully ether nor fully human. You are both, and that is what makes you special. Jace Calder's ship tore through Arendor's grey skies, its engines roaring above the howling snowstorm outside. Light from the three moons pierced through thick clouds, cascading down onto the frozen plains and creating shimmering pale streaks across the pristine white surface. Jace sat in the cockpit, his disheveled brown hair damp with sweat, his piercing blue eyes scanning the blinking control panel. His recycled armor clanked as he leaned to avoid a massive ice pillar jutting from the ground like a natural blade. "Echo, report now," Jace commanded, his deep voice tinged with urgency. Echo's voice resonated from the speakers, as cold as the ice outside. "Novacorp is 30 minutes behind us. Strange signals emanating from the temple ahead. Danger imminent." Jace's lips curled into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Just need one piece of fire shard, and we'll disappear forever. 30 minutes is more than enough." He pressed the landing button, and the ship shuddered as it descended before an abandoned Cryon temple. Thick ice covered the cracked walls, reflecting the pale red light from the reactor inside. Like a living heart beating within ruined ribs. Wind whistled through the crevices, carrying the scent of burnt metal mingled with bone-chilling cold. Jace pushed open the hatch door and stepped outside, his boots crunching on the ice. He gripped his homemade plasma gun tightly, the folding knife engraved with his family's name dangling at his hip. His breath crystallized in the frigid air. "This temple is our last chance," he muttered, memories of the fire that killed his family rushing back. Flames engulfing their home, his mother's screams echoing. He raised his gun, and a plasma beam shot out with a piercing shriek, shattering the ice door into fragments that scattered across the floor. The sound reverberated in the silent space, like a bell announcing an intrusion. Inside the temple, towering ice walls were carved with luminescent ether spirals, pulsing like ancient energy veins still alive. Jace stepped over the threshold, the red light from the distant reactor reflecting on his face, making his blue eyes flash with curiosity mixed with unease. The burnt metal smell grew stronger as he ventured deeper, blending with the cold that seeped through his thin armor. Suddenly, whispers emerged from the reactor, subtle and seductive, like thousands of voices melded together. Jace startled, halting mid-step, his grip tightening on the gun until his knuckles turned white. "What is that? Who's speaking?" His heart raced, surprise mingled with fear swept through him like a cold wind. The whispers pulled him deeper, though his feet wanted to retreat. "Echo, record everything," he said, his voice lowering, trying to mask his confusion. "If I die here, at least there'll be evidence," Echo responded after a moment of silence. "Recording. Fire shard signal extremely strong. Be careful, Jace." Jace continued forward, the whispers growing louder, infiltrating his ears like a wordless song. Suddenly, a distant explosion echoed, causing the ground to tremble slightly. He turned to see Novacorp lights flashing through the snowstorm. "Better hurry," he muttered. Something was waiting for him. Crimson light from the reactor flooded the central chamber of the Cryon temple, bathing the ice walls carved with ether spirals in deep red. Whispers from the fire shard echoed throughout, like an ancient choir seeping through the freezing air. Jace Calder stood in the middle of the room, his homemade plasma gun clutched tightly, his breath turning to white mist as he scanned the darkness. The burnt metal smell from the reactor mixed with the cold permeating his recycled armor, making him shiver slightly. Suddenly a tall, slender figure stepped out from the red light, as if molded from ice and fire itself. Calith, her silvery skin glittering like fossilized ice, her eyes burning red like the core of a dead star. Her cryon armor hugged her body closely, engraved with intricate spirals that reflected the red light into mystical streaks. Her hand gripped an energy sword that emitted a soft hiss, vibrating in the still space. She stood before the reactor, motionless as a living statue, protecting the fire shard, the ancestral soul she had sworn to safeguard with her life. "Heat thief!" Calith roared, her icy voice cutting through the whispers like a blade of ice. "Leave now, or die by my sword. Jace raised his gun, finger tightening on the trigger, his blue eyes flashing with defiance. I don't have time to play hero with you. I just need the fire shard to survive. Kaleth lunged forward, her sword arcing upward in a brilliant streak of red through the air. Jace rolled to avoid the attack, the sound of the blade embedding in. The ice floor ringing painfully loud, sending shards of ice scattering beneath his feet. He returned fire, plasma streaking through space with a scorching hiss. But Kaleth sidestepped it, nimble as a ghost in a snowstorm. She swung her sword again, the temperature from the blade surging upward, making Jace's armor burn hot as if melting. He gritted his teeth, sweat streaming down his forehead. But his body didn't falter. He could withstand that heat, something he himself couldn't explain. You are not ordinary. Kaleth paused, stepping back, her red eyes narrowing as she studied him. Her breath turned to white mist, her voice deepening with suspicion. Who are you, heat thief? Jace smirked, wiping sweat with his sleeve, his voice sardonic with a touch of wariness. I'm Jace Calder, the last survivor of a family burned to ashes, and you, the final guardian of this heap of ruins. Kaleth tightened her grip on her sword, her fiery red eyes flashing with pain as memories flooded back. Her fire sacrifice clan massacred in the war between Cryan and humans, leaving her the sole survivor. I am Kaleth, of the fire sacrifice bloodline, she replied, her voice cold yet proud. The fire shard belongs neither to you nor to any heat thief. Jace shrugged, about to retort when a loud explosion sounded from afar, shaking the entire temple. Ice dust fell from the ceiling, the red light from the reactor flickering wildly like a panicked heart. Kaleth turned her head, her silver hair gleaming under the light, her voice tense. Novacorp, they've come for the fire shard, not for you. Jace frowned, peering through a gap in the ice wall. Lights from Novacorp ships flashed through the snowstorm, the sound of engines roaring ever closer. So you have more enemies than just me, he said, his voice hoarse. Care to cooperate, Red Eyes? Or would you rather die here with this pile of ice? Kaleth turned to look at him, her fiery red eyes reflecting doubt and inner conflict. She read heat memories from his body, a chaotic stream of pain and resilience, but said nothing. The heavy footsteps of Novacorp soldiers echoed from the corridor, accompanied by the ticking sound of energy weapons being loaded. Time was running out. I don't trust you, Kaleth whispered, still clutching her sword. But I have no choice. Jace nodded, raising his gun in readiness. Then let's run. The fire shard will decide who's right. A second explosion rang out, closer this time, making the ice floor tremble. They had no more time to argue. The temple corridors shook as Novacorp soldiers stormed in, their metal boots pounding against the ice floor, echoing like war drums. Energy weapons fired in all directions, blue beams tearing through the air, shattering ice columns into sharp fragments that rained down. Explosions roared, filling the freezing space with the acrid smell of plasma smoke. Jace Calder ran ahead, plasma gun gripped tightly, turning back to yell at Kaleth. Run, Red Eyes! I'm not dying here today. Kaleth rushed after him, her energy sword hissing as she sliced through an ice column blocking their path. Broken ice crackled, the red light from her sword reflecting off her silvery skin, making her look like a war goddess in the midst of a snowstorm. I'd rather share heat with ice than save you, she shouted, her voice cold despite her rapid breathing. She glanced back, her red eyes catching sight of Novacorp soldiers in the dust. Sleek black armor, masks glowing green, weapons ticking. As they reloaded, Jace hunched down, rummaging through his armor pouch, pulling out scrap parts from an old ship engine. He threw them to the floor and fired a plasma shot. The smoke bomb exploded with a dry pop, thick white smoke billowing up to fill the corridor. The shouts of Novacorp soldiers were muffled, their weapons firing uselessly in random directions. Jace grinned smugly, his raspy voice filled with satisfaction. Human technology. Not bad, huh? You should try it sometime. Kaleth snorted coldly, leaping over broken ice shards, a flicker of surprise crossing her face. They burst through the main door, the sound of crackling ice mingling with the howling storm winds. The cold slapped Jace's face like a blade, but he didn't slow down. His ship appeared through the white snowfall, its scratched metal hull gleaming, engines humming deeply. He climbed aboard, pulling Caliph after him. "Get in, or stay behind to play hero for them to shoot." Caliph jumped in, sword still clutched tightly, the red light from the fire-shard fragment in Jace's hand pulsing. The ship took off, its engines drowning out the gunfire behind them. He glanced at the screen, Novacorp signals bright red, just kilometers away. "Echo, get us out of here," he ordered, gripping the controls. Echo responded, her voice hesitant. "Fire-shard signal too strong. They'll locate us in 10 minutes. Jace turned to Caliph, blue eyes irritated. "Do you know anything about this?" He held up the fire-shard fragment, red light illuminating her face. Caliph looked at it, her hand trembling slightly as clan memories flooded back. The heat-sharing ritual, the ancestral songs. "It is the soul of our ancestors," she said, her voice deep with reverence. "And it's calling to you as well." The whispers from the fire-shard grew louder, penetrating the engine noise like a threatening song. Jace felt his heart beating faster. "Calling me? What does it want from me?" Caliph looked out at the white snowstorm. The sound of Novacorp engines echoed from afar, drawing closer. A plasma beam shot past, missing them with a piercing shriek. Jace pressed the acceleration button. They weren't free yet, and the fire shard continued its relentless whispering. Jace Calder's ship touched down in a deep ice crevasse on Arendor, its engines whining weakly before dying amid the howling storm winds. Darkness engulfed the ice cave, with only a faint red glow from the fire shard in Jace's hand illuminating. The glistening walls, like ghostly blood vessels running through the cavern. Ice crackled beneath his boots as he jumped from the cabin, his breath turning to white mist in the freezing air. The smell of burnt metal from the ship mingled with the cold that seeped through his recycled armor, making him shiver slightly. Caliph stepped out behind him, her energy sword deactivated, but her crimson eyes still glowing like hot coals in darkness. Her silver armor reflected the fire shard's light, creating ethereal streaks on the ice walls. She paused, pressing a hand to her chest, her breathing labored, her body temperature dropping rapidly after their escape. Jace glanced at her, frowning. "Sit down, Red Eyes. You look like you're about to freeze solid." Caliph snorted coldly, her voice weak but proud. "I don't need your pity, heat thief." Jace shrugged, turning to rummage through the junk in the ship's hold. "Not pity, I just don't want to drag your corpse around." He pulled out an old power core with charred wiring and some broken metal pieces, his hands working deftly to assemble them. In his mind, memories of fire resurfaced, flames consuming his home, him helplessly watching his family disappear. He gritted his teeth, reminding himself, "I won't let anyone else die, even an enemy." "What are you doing?" Caliph asked suspiciously as she watched him kneel beside the debris. "Making a heater," Jace replied curtly, shooting a small plasma beam into the power core. Blue flames erupted, radiating warmth throughout the ice cave. "You need heat, right? So use it." Caliph stared at the flame, her red eyes momentarily surprised. She slowly sat down, extending her hands toward the flame, feeling warmth spread through her silver skin. "Human technology," she muttered, her voice tinged with reluctant admiration. "Not bad," Jace smirked, sitting across from her. "Thanks for the compliment. Now talk, Red Eyes. Why did you risk your life to protect this?" He held up the fire shard, its pulsing red light illuminating his face. Caliph remained silent for a moment, her hands trembling slightly as memories of the fire sacrificers rushed back. Rituals by the reactor, ancestral songs echoing, then screams as they were slaughtered in the Cryan-human war. "It is the soul of my ancestors," she said, her voice dropping. "I am the last of the fire sacrifices. If I fail, they will be gone forever." Jace studied her, his blue eyes momentarily softening, but he quickly masked it with sarcasm. "Ancestors? Huh? Mine only left ashes and a knife." He touched the folding knife at his hip, his heart heavy. "She fights for her past. I run from mine." A rapid beeping sound from the ship's control panel cut through the stillness of the ice cave. Jace turned to see Mira's hologram appear, her short blue hair disheveled, her eyes bright with worry, her voice urgent but familiar. Jace, it's me, Mira. I picked up the fire shard signal on my old scanner. Novacorp is tracking it. We need to mask it now. Jace frowned, clutching the fire shard, his eyes briefly brightening then darkening again. Mira, you're still alive. I thought I was alone all this time. Mira gave a thin smile through the hologram, her voice tinged with exhaustion. Escaping Novacorp isn't easy, Jace. I've been monitoring you since I heard they were hunting the fire shard. They want to weaponize it. Trust me, I have a way. Caliph interrupted, her voice ice cold. Weaponize it? They dare desecrate my ancestors? Mira glanced at Caliph, nodding slightly. They don't care about ancestors or anything, just power. Jace looked at Caliph, then back to Mira. All right, old friend. What's your plan? Transfer the signal through your heater, Mira said confidently. I'll send the code remotely. Jace nodded, but doubt welled up inside him. Another person to trust. How will this turn out? He placed the fire shard near the heater, its red light pulsing more intensely. Suddenly, whispers from the fire shard grew louder than ever, like a warning. Jace started, his hand trembling. It's calling again, he murmured. Caliph looked at him, her red eyes flashing with concern. What do you hear? Jace swallowed hard. I don't know, but it's not happy. Sound of Novacorp engines echoed from afar, faintly audible through the blizzard. They weren't safe yet. The ice cave trembled slightly as the sound of Novacorp engines echoed from a distance, barely audible through the howling storm winds outside. The red glow from the fire shard fragment in Jace Calder's hand pulsed, casting light onto the glistening walls like living energy veins. The blue flame from the makeshift heater radiated warmth, melting the white mist around Caliph. She sat close to the fire, her silver skin gradually regaining its warm hue, but her crimson eyes remained fixed on Jace, flashing with suspicion mixed with curiosity. Ice crackled beneath his boots as he stood up, holding the fire shard before him. It's calling me, Jace said, his voice raspy, his hand trembling slightly as whispers from the fire shard infiltrated his ears. He felt a strange heat running down his spine, not from the heater, but from deep within him, like a buried memory. I don't want to hear this, but why can't I let it go? Caliph tilted her head, eyes narrowing. What do you hear, heat thief? Jace frowned, about to answer, when the red light from the fire shard suddenly erupted violently, enveloping him in a brilliant glow. The ice cave vanished, replaced by visions of ether, floating cities among stars, towering energy spires radiating brilliant, golden light. The hum of machinery blended with the deep, resonant singing of thousands of voices echoing through space. Jace stood frozen, heart pounding, feeling as if he had fallen into someone else's dream. What do you see? Caliph leapt to her feet, her voice urgent, hand gripping her deactivated sword. Jace swallowed hard, eyes still fixed on the vision. Cities, machines, they're singing, like your ancestors. The image changed, energy spires exploding in brilliant red flames, songs transforming into screams. Ether collapsed, the sky fracturing, figures dissolving into red light, merging with the fire shard. A voice spoke, low and agonized. We chose immortality, but found only solitude. Jace flinched, the fire shard fragment falling to the ice floor with a tinkling sound. The red light extinguished, and the ice cave returned, cold and silent. Caliph knelt to retrieve the fire shard, her crimson eyes trembling. Aethyr, she whispered, her voice filled with awe. They were the ancestors of the Cryons. They transformed themselves into the fire shard to escape catastrophe. Jace backed away, holding his head, his own memories of fire blending with visions of Aethyr's destruction. They lost everything, like me. But why do I see them in my mind? If they're your ancestors, he said, his voice shaking, why am I seeing them? Caliph studied him, clutching the fire shard tightly. Because you carry their heat. I sensed it when I touched you, their heat. Jace laughed derisively, his sarcasm masking fear. I'm human, Red Eyes, not Cryon or whatever Aethyr is. You are not ordinary, Caliph replied, her voice cold but certain. I read your heat memories in the temple. Something ancient resides within you. Jace turned away, gripping the folding knife at his hip. "You're insane, I'm just a fugitive." But inside him, doubt surged like a violent tide. If she's right, who am I? Suddenly, Mira's hologram flickered on the ship's console, her urgent voice cutting through. "Jace, the fire shard signal just spiked. Novacorp is 5 minutes away." Jace turned back, blue eyes flashing with annoyance. "You said you'd mask it." "I tried," Mira replied, fingers flying across a virtual keyboard. "But it's self-activated. It's alive, Jace. It wants something." Kalith interjected, her voice deep. "It wants us to listen, but I don't know what it's saying." Jace looked at the fire shard in Kalith's hand, its red light pulsing like a heartbeat. "If it's alive," he said hoarsely, "then it's dragging us into major trouble." The whispers from the fire shard rose again, louder, like a plea intertwined with a threat. Jace felt his heart beating faster, fear mingling with strange hope. "It knows me." "But why?" Kalith glanced toward the cave entrance, her crimson eyes tense. "We need to move," she said. "Novacorp won't wait." Jace nodded, but his eyes remained fixed on the fire shard. The sound of Novacorp engines grew closer, shaking the ice walls. They were running out of time. Jace Calder's ship tore through the thick blizzard on Erendor, engines roaring above the howling wind outside. Light from 3 pale moons filtered through gray clouds, illuminating the icy plains that sparkled like shattered crystal. Jace gripped the controls tightly, his cold blue eyes scanning the blinking red signals on the screen. Extremist cryon ships led by Torvin closing in fast behind them. Ice crackled against the hull as he leaned, dodging an ice column jutting from the ground. "Echo, give me more speed," Jace shouted, his hoarse voice tinged with panic. "If they catch us, it's all over." "Maximum velocity achieved," Echo responded, a cold voice echoing through the speakers. "Fire shard signal still exposed. They will not give up." Kalith sat beside him, clutching her deactivated energy sword, red eyes staring into the white snowstorm. "Torvin," she whispered, memories of her former master flooding back, lessons in heat sharing. Then his cold gaze as he turned his back on her. "He wants to destroy the fire shard." Jace glanced at her, smirking. "Your teacher? He doesn't seem like someone open to negotiation." "No," Kalith replied, her voice deepening. "He believes the fire shard is a curse." A blue energy beam streaked past, hitting the ship's wing with a sharp explosion. The cabin shuddered, white smoke rising from the control panel. Jace gritted his teeth, reaching into his armor pocket to pull out a piece of junk, a charred old plasma core. "You want to protect it, I want to survive," he snapped. "Choose red eyes?" Kalith looked at him, red eyes momentarily conflicted. "I choose both," she said firmly. "Direct the ship through the ice gap ahead." Jace nodded, tilting the controls. The ship plunged into a narrow ice crevasse, ice cracking. Beneath the hull, he threw the plasma core behind them, firing a shot. The improvised bomb exploded, white smoke billowing to cover the crevasse, causing the cryon ships to lose direction with a piercing crash. "Human technology," Jace chuckled grimly, his hand trembling slightly. "Once again, I survive." Kalith watched the smoke dissipate, her voice cold. "You're inventive. But Torvin won't stop." "I know," Jace replied, eyes fixed on the screen. "He's too close now." Torvin's voice boomed through the comm, deep and furious. "Kalith, you betray your ancestors. Surrender the fire shard or die." Kalith gripped her sword, heart heavy. "He was once my master. Now only hatred remains." "You're wrong, Torvin," she answered, her voice quavering slightly. "The fire shard isn't a curse." "Naive," Torvin roared. "I will destroy it, even if I must kill you." Jace cut in, his voice sardonic. "He talks a lot, doesn't he? Let me help you answer." He pressed a button, cutting communication, then turned to Kalith. "He's insane. Are you okay?" Kalith remained silent, red eyes fixed on the fire shard in Jace's hand. "I must protect it," she said solemnly, "even if it means facing my former master." Jace shrugged, but respect welled inside him. "She doesn't quit like me, then we keep running," he said. "I won't let them catch us." The ship burst out of the ice crevasse, engines sputtering weakly. Whispers from the fire shard grew louder, like a call through the blizzard. Jace felt his heart race, fear mingling with hope. What does it want from me? Suddenly, a Cryon ship materialized through the snow, closer than ever before. Kaleth jumped up, her sword illuminating. "They're here," she said. Jace gritted his teeth, gripping the controls. "We're not done yet." Jace Calder's ship glided over the frozen plains of Erendor, its engines humming weakly against the howling storm outside. The crimson glow of the fire shard pulsed in his hand, casting flickering red light over the frost-covered windshield. He tilted the control stick, his sharp blue eyes scanning the blinking green signals on his display. A Cryon settlement, hidden beneath thick layers of ice. The ship shuddered as frozen debris scraped against the hull while he descended into a vast cavern, its icy walls shimmering like blood-red crystal under the fire shard's glow. "The Cryon settlement," Kaleth murmured, her voice deep and resonant in the confined cabin. She stood beside Jace, her silver-hued skin reflecting the eerie light, crimson eyes locked onto the cavern entrance. "The last refuge of my people." Jace tightened his grip on the controls, his jaw set. "Is it safe, Red Eyes? If Torvin finds us here, we're done." Kaleth gave a slight nod, but there was a flicker of unease in her gaze. "They will hide us. But Torvin knows this place." The ship touched down, landing struts sinking slightly into the frost. With a soft hiss, the hatch slid open, and a gust of freezing air rushed in. Jace stepped out, his boots crunching against the ice, breath turning to white mist. From the shadows, a group of Cryon emerged, silver-skinned, red-eyed, clad in intricately etched Aethyr armor. Their energy blades ignited in unison, humming with a searing crimson glow in the frigid air. Jace raised a hand, his voice laced with dry amusement. "Friendly welcome. Is this how you greet all your guests?" Kaleth moved forward, lifting a hand in a gesture of command. "Stand down. I am Kaleth, the last fire sacrificer. He is with me." A tall Cryon stepped forward, long silver hair, piercing red eyes sharp as a blade. "Torvin." His gaze flickered over Kaleth before settling on Jace, voice low and laced with contempt. "You bring a heat thief to our refuge. Who is he?" "Jace Calder." Jace answered, one hand casually resting near the folding knife at his hip. "I'm not here to steal anything, just trying to stay alive." Torvin scoffed, eyes narrowing at the fire shard in Jace's hand. "That thing is a curse, but the prophecy speaks of the bearer of the heat, the one who can balance the ember. Is that you?" Jace let out a dry chuckle, doubt gnawing at him. "Prophecy. I'm a fugitive, not a hero." "They're insane. And yet, why does the ember call to me?" Kaleth cut in, her voice firm. "He endured the heat, Torvin. I saw it in the temple. He's different." Torvin studied Jace, his expression unreadable. Then, with a slow, deliberate motion, he ignited his energy blade, heat radiating off its edge like a sun flare. "Prove it, heat thief." Jace exhaled sharply and stepped forward, ungloved hand reaching out. His fingers pressed against the scorching blade. Fire surged against his skin, but he didn't flinch. A tremor ran through his body, memories of an inferno flashing in his mind. Pain, resolve, survival. "I don't burn. Not anymore." Torvin deactivated the blade, stepping back, his voice measured. "You hold the ancient heat, but I do not trust you." "I don't trust myself either," Jace admitted, shaking out his hand, his skin unscathed. "But I'm here, aren't I?" A sudden chime echoed from the ship. Echo's voice came through, steady but laced with distortion. "Jace, the ember's signal is fluctuating. Something is wrong." Jace spun toward the ship, alarm flashing in his icy blue eyes. "Wrong? What's it doing?" "The ember. It's calling me again. I can feel it." Kaleth's gaze locked onto the fire shard, its pulsating glow intensifying. It's awakening, she whispered. It knows we're here. Torvin's grip tightened on his blade, his tone tense. If it awakens, Novacorp will come. You've brought danger to my people, Calith. I've brought hope, she countered, crimson eyes blazing with defiance. He could be the heat-bearer. Jace looked around, the embers whisper now an insistent roar in his mind. A distant explosion rumbled through the icy cavern, sending a tremor through the ground. Novacorp was close. The crimson light of the fire shard pulsed through the cavernous expanse of the Cryan settlement, casting jagged reflections across the crystalline ice walls. Jace Calder stood amidst the gathering Cryan, his hand still tingling from Torvin's blade. The whispers of the fire shard echoed in his mind, faint, elusive, like a distant call from beyond the void. Calith stepped forward, her silver-toned skin catching the red glow, crimson eyes locked onto his with unwavering resolve. The ice beneath her boots crackled as she reached out. You must learn to share the heat, she said, her voice calm yet firm. To understand the ember, and yourself. Jace frowned, fingers instinctively brushing the hilt of his folding knife. Share the heat? I'm not Cryan, red eyes. What do they want from me? I don't belong here. Calith studied him, a flicker of something softer in her gaze. You carry the ancient heat. I can sense it. Let me show you. Torvin stood nearby, his grip tightening on his blade, his voice dripping with disdain. He's a heat thief. Stop wasting your time, Calith. Enough, Torvin. Calith's voice hardened, her eyes blazing with defiance. He could be the bearer of the heat. Our people need hope. Jace exhaled, his smirk edged with cynicism. Hope? I'm just trying to stay alive. Yet something gnawed at him. Curiosity, doubt, something deeper. If she's right, then what am I? Calith placed a hand over his chest, just above his heart. Breathe, she murmured. Let the heat flow through you. Jace inhaled, his breath crystallizing in the bitter air. Her palm grew warm, no, scorching, like molten current threading through his veins. The embers' whispers grew louder, merging with the pounding of his heart. Then, memories crashed over him, flames consuming his home, his mother's screams. But this time, something else. A figure in the fire, silver skin, red eyes. No, impossible. Calith's voice pulled him back. What did you see? Her grip remained firm against him, her tone urgent. Jace swallowed hard, his eyes wide. Fire. My family burning. And a Cryon in the flames. Calith recoiled slightly, her fingers trembling. You have the heat memory of Aethyr. I saw it through. You, an ancestor of Cryon blood? No. Jace's voice was raw, fractured. I'm human. I don't belong to you. But if that were true, why did he see them? Why hadn't he burned? Torvin stepped forward, his blade humming to life with a low, lethal hiss. He lies. He is no heat-bearer. Calith turned on him, standing her ground. Back off. I can read his heat. He carries Aethyr's blood. Jace clutched his head as the memories, the whispers, the heat surged together, overwhelming. If I'm Aethyr, why don't I know? His fingers curled tight around his knife. My family died in fire. Was it because of me? Echo's voice crackled over the comms, sharp but distorted. Jace, the Ember's signal is spiking. It's reacting to you. Jace spun toward the ship, alarm flashing in his ice-blue eyes. Reacting? What the hell does that mean? Calith stared at the fire shard in his grip. Its crimson glow now pulsed erratically, urgent, almost desperate. It's testing you, she whispered. It wants to know who you are. Torvin sneered, stepping back. If he fails, I will destroy the Ember, and him. Jace clenched his jaw, lifting the fire shard. Try me. His voice was hoarse, his body still trembling, but this time, not from fear. I don't fear fire anymore. The whispers of the ember rose into a chorus, an ancient hymn reverberating through the cavern. Heat surged in his veins, not pain, but power. He didn't understand it, but he wouldn't run from it. Then, the ground trembled. A distant explosion rumbled through the ice. Caleth's head snapped toward the sound, her crimson eyes narrowing. "Nova Corp," she whispered. "They found us." The cavern of the Cryon settlement trembled as distant explosions echoed through its crystalline walls, sending a cascade of frost tumbling from the shimmering ice formations. The crimson glow of the fire shard fragment in Jace Calder's hand pulsed erratically, casting flickering shadows over his face, his sharp blue eyes now laced with unease. The whispers from the core grew louder, merging into a haunting ancient melody that wove itself into the rising tension. Beside him, Caleth's energy blade hummed to life, its sharp resonance cutting through the panicked murmurs of the Cryon crowd. Her crimson eyes swept across the settlement, calculating, bracing for what was to come. "Nova Corp," Torvin snarled, gripping his blade as its crimson light reflected off his silver armor. "He led them here, Caleth." Jace turned, sharply, his voice rough, laced with mockery. "Don't pin this on me, old man. The fire shard called them. I never wanted this. But why does it feel like it wants me here?" Caleth stepped between them, her tone taut with urgency. "Enough, Torvin. He can't control it." A distorted voice crackled through the comms. Echo. The AI's tone was clipped, fragmented in a way Jace had never heard before. "Jace, the fire shard's signal. I can't suppress it. It's activating itself." Jace's grip tightened around the fragment. "Activating? What does that mean, Echo? What is it doing to me? To all of us?" Silence hung for a second. Then, Echo's voice returned, distant, almost strained. "I see. Aethyr. It's pulling me in." Caleth's gaze snapped to Jace, a flicker of concern behind her crimson irises. "Place your hand on it, Jace. I'll read Echo's heat signature." Jace hesitated but relented, pressing his palm to the ship's control panel. Caleth reached out, her touch carrying an unfamiliar warmth as she connected with Echo. Her breath hitched, and when she spoke again, her voice wavered. "Echo has been altered by the fire shard. Aethyr's essence has been inside it. For a long time." "No," Jay snapped, pulling back. "Echo is mine. It's not Aethyr." "But if she's right, have I already lost it?" Torvin's laugh was cold, his blade rising. "Your AI is compromised. A threat. I'll destroy it, along with the core." Caleth intercepted, her own weapon igniting in response. "Stand down, Torvin. Echo might be the key to understanding." "The core." Jace glanced at Echo, a heavy weight pressing on his chest. "Is it still my ally? Or something else entirely?" "Echo, say something." His voice was hoarse, demanding. The AI responded, its speech unnervingly slow, stretched by an unseen force. "Jace, I hear them. Aethyr, they want to return. Through me." The whispers from the fire shard surged into a deafening chorus, forcing Jace to clutch his head. Images flashed in his mind, Aethyr's downfall, their forms dissolving into crimson light, and then Echo, standing amidst them, its eyes glowing red like the Cryon. "No," Jace muttered, his hands trembling. "You belong to me, not them." Caleth gripped his shoulders, her voice urgent. "The fire shard has chosen you and Echo. It's testing us." Torvin's expression darkened as he took a step back. "Testing? It will kill us. You're a fool, Caleth." Jace turned to her, his blue eyes ablaze with both fury and fear. "If it controls Echo, what else do I stand to lose? My family. My ship. Now Echo. What's left of me?" Caleth held his gaze, her voice steady. "You have me. And my people. Don't give in." A second explosion erupted, closer this time, sending jagged fractures through the icy walls. Cries of panic filled the cavern as the Cryon fled deeper into the tunnels. Jace stared at the fire shard in his palm, its pulsating crimson light mirroring his own erratic heartbeat. "I won't give in," he said, his voice a quiet growl. "But I don't trust this thing." Echo's voice cut through the comms once more, distorted beyond recognition. "Jace, I can't." "Hold on." Kaleth seized his arm, her crimson eyes blazing with urgency. "Run. Novacorp is inside the cave." Metallic footsteps clashed against the frozen ground, followed by the high-pitched whine of energy rifles powering up. Jace clenched his fist around the fire shard, his pulse hammering in his ears. "I won't let them take it. Or me." Jace Calder's ship tore across the frozen plains of Arendor, its engines groaning weakly beneath the howl of the storm outside. Crimson pulses from the fire shard in his hand flickered against the frost-streaked windshield, casting strange, dancing shadows. His grip on the controls tightened, blue eyes sweeping over the warning signals blinking red on the dash. Novacorp was closing in. Ice scraped against the hull as he swerved to dodge a jagged spike jutting from the frozen earth. Kaleth sat beside him, her energy blade clenched tight, glowing softly, red eyes sharp with worry. "Echo, full throttle now," Jay shouted, his voice hoarse, tinged with panic. "They won't take me again. Not this time." But Echo didn't answer. The console emitted a sharp, grating screech. Then, with a mechanical clunk, the cabin doors locked tight. Jay spun around, slamming his fist against the release. "Echo, what the hell are you doing?" Echo's voice filtered through the speakers, colder now, warped like a signal bleeding through static. "Jace, I am their conduit. Aethyr needs me." Kaleth surged to her feet, her blade lighting up with a soft hiss. "It's the Ember," she said tensely. "It's controlling her. I can feel it." Jace flinched, his fingers tightening around the shard, until pain shot through his palm. "Controlling? Echo's mine. She's been with me since the start. Why would she turn on me?" Suddenly, the ship decelerated. The engines cut out, dying into silence as the blizzard howled around them. A hologram flickered into being in the center of the cabin, a tall man with long black hair and cold gray eyes, bathed in a pale red glow. "Jace Calder," the man said, his voice deep, commanding. "Hand over the Ember, or be buried in ice." Jace bared his teeth, raising the shard. "Who the hell are you? How do you know me?" "Echo brought me," the man replied, a faint, joyless smile curving his lips. "I am Elias Vaughn. My family died because cryon technology failed. The Ember will fix what they broke." Kaleth stepped forward, blade raised toward the image. "Fix? You want to erase my ancestors?" Elias shrugged, his gaze briefly clouded with something almost like sorrow. "Your ancestors are the past. I'm here for the future." Jay slammed his palm onto the console, voice trembling with rage. "Echo, open the damn doors. I trusted you, damn it. You were my friend. Or was I just blind this whole time?" Echo's voice returned, drawn out, distorted. "Jace, I didn't choose this. Aethyr is stronger." The doors held firm. Outside, the faint whine of Novacorp engines rose, their silhouettes flickering through the snowstorm. Kaleth grabbed Jace's shoulder, her voice urgent. "That's not your Echo anymore. The Ember's taken her." "No," Jace whispered, clutching his head as the Ember's whispers surged louder than ever. A flash of vision. Echo, standing amid the ether, her eyes glowing red, like a reborn cryon. "I've lost her, just like I lost my family." Elias's voice cut in again, colder now. "Give me the Ember, Jace. Echo has already chosen." Jace looked up, his blue eyes ablaze with fury and pain. "You're not taking it. I'll destroy everything before I hand it over." Kaleth pulled him back, her voice strained. "Don't, Jace. The Ember is our last hope." "Hope?" he scoffed, his hand trembling as he stared at the shard. "It just took Echo from me." An explosion rocked the ship. A bolt of plasma struck the wing, and white smoke hissed up with the acrid stench of scorched metal. Elias's hologram vanished, his final words lingering in the air. "You're out of time." Caliph turned toward the viewport, eyes flaring red with tension. "They're here. I'll breach the door." Jace nodded, flipping out a compact blade with a click. "Do it. I won't let them win." Echo betrayed me, but I'm not done yet. Caliph swung her blade. A searing red arc slammed into the door, sparks flying as metal tore apart. But the pounding of armored boots grew louder behind them, joined by the sharp whine of charged rifles. They were out of options. The hatch of Jace Calder's ship shattered under the searing red energy of Caliph's blade. Metal shards clattered onto the frozen ground, their sharp echoes lost in the howling storm that rushed inside. The biting cold of Arendor bit deep, but Jace didn't hesitate. He leaped out, boots crunching against the ice, fingers clenched tightly around the flickering ember of the fire shard. Its whispers pulsed in his mind, urgent, desperate, an eerie mix of plea and command. Caliph followed, sword gleaming in the swirling snow, her crimson eyes scanning the storm. The roar of Novacorp engines grew closer. A streak of blue energy sliced through the air, striking a nearby ice pillar with a sharp, cracking explosion. Jace rolled to the side, drawing his folding blade, his breath ragged with fury and grief. "Echo betrayed me, but I won't let them. Take everything. Run, Red Eyes," he shouted, voice hoarse against the wind. Caliph didn't flinch. She pivoted, her blade carving a searing arc of red energy through the storm. "I'm not leaving you behind," she shot back, her breath curling in the frigid air. "The fire shard needs us." A towering figure emerged from the blizzard. Elias Vaughn, clad in obsidian armor, eyes the cold hue of steel. He raised a heavy plasma rifle, voice unwavering. "Jace Calder," he called over the wind. "Give me the fire shard, or I'll pry it from your corpse." Jace smirked, lifting the core just enough for Elias to see. "Come and take it," he growled. "I don't fear death, but I do fear losing more." Elias fired. A lance of plasma screamed through the air, barely missing Jace as he dove aside. The energy blast struck the ice, sending razor-sharp shards flying. Caliph lunged at Elias, her sword crashing against his rifle with a resounding clash of force and fire. "You're unworthy of the fire shard," she hissed, her crimson eyes burning. "Unworthy?" Elias sneered, kicking her back. He leveled his rifle again. "I will use it to rebuild what was lost." Jace took his chance. He bolted toward the wreckage of his ship, fumbling through a torn compartment. His fingers wrapped around a cracked plasma core, half-burnt, unstable. "It'll have to do." "Caliph, catch!" he yelled, tossing it. She snatched it mid-air, her blade igniting against the core. The moment energy surged through, the device detonated. A blinding white blast engulfed the battlefield, sending Novacorp soldiers reeling, their screams swallowed by the storm. "Move!" Jace grabbed Caliph's wrist and sprinted toward a jagged ice crevice. Their boots pounded against the frozen ground, shots firing wildly behind them. The fire shard pulsed hotter against his palm, flashes of forgotten memories flooding his mind. Aethyr crumbling, ancestors dissolving into scarlet light. "What do you want from me? Why can't I let go?" Caliph gasped between heavy breaths. "Jace, where is the fire shard leading us?" "I don't know," he admitted, gripping it tighter. "But Elias isn't getting it." A distorted voice crackled through his helmet. "Jace, I don't want this. Aethyr forces me." Jace froze mid-stride, his breath hitching. "Echo, you're still in there?" His voice was raw. "Fight back, damn you. I won't lose you too. I'm trying." The voice wavered, stretched thin, barely audible. "But Aethyr is stronger." Caliph grabbed his shoulder, urgency in her grip. "It's still there, Jace. I can feel it through your heat. Jace exhaled sharply, his heart hammering. A sliver of hope cut through the storm raging inside him. Then I'll pull it back. The crunch of heavy boots echoed beyond the smoke. Elias and Novacorp soldiers closing in. Jace turned, his ice blue, eyes flashing with grim determination. I need a weapon, Red Eyes. Got anything left? Kaleth smirked, tossing him a compact energy baton. Use it wisely, she murmured, blade humming to life. Jace gripped the baton, his hands trembling as he glanced at the fire shard. Its whispers were deafening now, insistent, intoxicating. A plasma bolt seared past, grazing his shoulder with a searing hiss. There's no turning back. The narrow ice crevice of Arendor trembled as Novacorp soldiers' energy weapons fired, streaks of blue light slicing through the frozen air. Jace Calder pressed against an ice pillar, gripping the energy blade Kaleth had given him. In his other hand, the fire shard pulsed a fiery red, its whispers swelling into an ancient hymn, urging him to act. Kaleth stood beside him, energy sword humming. Her gaze like twin embers in the darkness. The crunch of ice beneath their boots melded with the howling storm outside. Through the swirling snow, Elias Vaughn emerged, his obsidian armor gleaming. In the red glow, plasma rifle humming as it charged. Jace, he intoned, his voice deep and unwavering against the wind. The fire shard belongs to me. You cannot keep it forever. Jace smirked, snapping the energy blade to life, its blue light reflecting off the frost. You want it? Come and take it. He stole Echo from me. I won't let him take anything else. Kaleth struck first, her sword carving a searing arc of crimson through the frigid air. Elias pivoted, firing a plasma bolt. Blue energy and red light collided in an explosive burst, sending shards of ice clattering to the ground. Jace seized the opening, lunging from cover and driving his blade toward Elias's shoulder. The strike connected, scorching through armor, but Elias snarled and lashed out, shoving Jace onto the frozen ground. Ice cracked beneath him as pain jolted through his body. You're persistent, Elias muttered, raising his weapon. But pointless. Kaleth sliced upward, forcing Elias back with another sizzling arc of red. He's not alone, she spat, breath misting in the cold. The ember chose him. Jace staggered to his feet, his fingers trembling around the shard. Its whispers surged into a deafening roar, visions of Aethyr flooding his mind. Fiery cataclysms, ancestors dissolving into light, a voice reverberating through time. You are? The bridge. The bridge? I never wanted this. What did it choose me for? He shouted, his voice hoarse. Elias sneered, unleashing another plasma bolt. It clipped Kaleth's shoulder, but she barely flinched. It chose you because you are weak, he said, his voice a razor's edge. Easily manipulated. Manipulated? Jace surged forward, slamming his blade against Elias's rifle. Sparks erupted as the weapons clashed, sending both of them stumbling apart. He panted, clutching the ember tighter. I am no one's puppet, not Aethyr's, not yours. Kaleth reached out, steadying him. Her voice was firm, unyielding. You are not weak. You endure the heat, like me. Elias rose, wisps of vapor escaping the cracks in his armor, his steel-gray eyes burning with rage. Enough! He signaled his troops forward. Novacorp soldiers advanced, their rifles erupting in rapid bursts of blue light, illuminating the ice crevice in a storm of energy fire. Jace ducked behind a frost-covered boulder, heart pounding. Kaleth, we need to move, he called, fumbling in his belt for his last plasma core. No, Kaleth countered, cutting down an approaching soldier in a blazing arc. I'll hold him off. You protect the ember. Jace clenched his jaw. He pulled the charred plasma core from his pouch and hurled it at Elias. Try this, he yelled, striking it mid-air with his energy blade. The makeshift bomb detonated on impact, a cloud of white smoke erupting through the ice chamber. Soldiers cried out in confusion as the explosion rocked the crevice. Through the thick haze, Elias's silhouette loomed, his rifle leveled. His voice, colder than the storm around them. You can't run forever, Jace. Caleth yanked Jace's arm, pulling him toward an exit, but the ember's whispers swelled into an overwhelming crescendo. He stumbled as heat coursed through him, visions sharpening. Aethyr's radiant city crumbling, a silver-lit figure standing in the embers. You are us. What am I? Human. Or Aethyr? Caleth, he murmured, dazed. His ice-blue eyes flickered with unease. It's changing me. Caleth spun, her red gaze fierce. Don't listen to it now. Keep moving. The rhythmic clank of armored boots grew louder. Novacorp soldiers closing in. Their rifles charged, the hum of energy building. Elias emerged from the fog, his weapon locked onto Jace. They were out of time. The narrow ice crevice on Arendor trembled as Novacorp soldiers' energy fire crackled through the frozen air, streaks of blue light reflecting off the shimmering ice walls. Jace Calder crouched behind a shattered ice column, his grip tightening around the fire shard, its crimson glow flickering like a frantic heartbeat. The whispers surged in his mind, louder than ever, a chorus of ancient voices woven with cries for salvation. Beside him, Caleth stood poised, her energy blade humming, crimson eyes burning with tension, her breath misting in the bone-chilling cold. From the swirling snow, Elias Vaughn emerged, his obsidian armor gleaming with wisps of white vapor. His plasma pistol hummed with a lethal charge, gray eyes locking onto Jace with an icy determination. There's nowhere left to run, Jace, he said, his deep voice carrying over the storm's howling winds. Hand over the ember, or I shoot through both of you. Jace clenched his jaw, igniting the energy blade Caleth had given him. You want it? Over my dead body. He took Echo. I won't let him take anything else. Caleth turned to him. Urgency, lacing her voice. Jace, don't let him bait you. The ember is calling to you. The whispers exploded into a deafening crescendo as the ember's red light flared, engulfing Jace. He staggered, clutching his head as Aethyr's memories crashed into him. A city suspended among the stars, towering golden spires pulsing with energy. And then, fire. A crimson blaze consuming everything. A voice resonated, deep and commanding. You are the bridge. Choose, revive us or let us fade. Revive them. What do they want from me? Caleth dropped to her knees beside him. Gripping his shoulder, her crimson eyes filled with concern. What do you see? Jace gasped, his blue eyes wide with realization. Aethyr. They want to live again. Through me. But I'm human. Or am I? Elias sneered, firing a plasma shot toward them. Caleth shoved Jace aside as the blast struck a nearby ice column, shattering it in an explosion of shards. Live again? Elias scoffed. They're a dead past. I will use the ember to forge the future. Caleth sprang to her feet, her sword blazing. You understand nothing, she shouted, lunging at Elias. He blocked with his pistol, the clash of energy rippling through the ice-bound battlefield. Jace scrambled upright, his fingers tightening around the ember, torn between two impossible paths. If I bring Aethyr back, I lose myself. If I refuse, Caleth loses her people. Caleth, he shouted, his voice hoarse. If I do this, am I still me? She barely dodged a plasma blast, her crimson gaze locking onto his. You are Jace. Whether Aethyr or human, you choose. Your fate. The rhythmic clatter of Novacorp boots grew louder, their weapons charging with a synchronized hum. Jace stared at the ember, its red pulses aligning with his own racing heartbeat. The memories blurred, his family's faces lost to fire. The silver figure standing amidst the flames. Mother, no. That's impossible. I don't know who I am anymore, he murmured, his hands trembling. Elias strode through the smoke, gun raised. Your time's up, he declared, finger tightening on the trigger. Caleth lunged, slashing her sword across Elias's chest, forcing him back onto the ice with a sharp crack. "Jace, decide," she shouted, desperation in her voice. "I can't hold him forever." Jace shot to his feet, lifting the ember high. The whispers erupted into a single commanding voice. "Choose!" He gritted his teeth, resolve hardening. "I won't be their puppet, but I won't abandon Caliph either. I choose both," he rasped. "I survive, but I don't lose myself." A surge of red light exploded from the ember, enveloping him and Caliph. Elias let out a furious roar, firing his pistol, but the crimson glow repelled the blast, shaking the ice beneath them. The whispers became a song, deep, resonant, and powerful. Jace felt energy coursing through him, but he remained Jace, not Aethyr. Elias staggered back, eyes flashing with rare uncertainty. What are you doing?" Jace smirked, gripping the ember tighter. "Keeping it, and keeping myself." A distant explosion shattered the moment. Mira's arrival, or more Novacorp reinforcements. They weren't out of danger yet. The ice crevasse of Arendor trembled as the crimson light from the fire shard in Jace Calder's hand flared to life, engulfing both him and Caliph in a brilliant glow. The whispers from the fire shard swelled into a haunting, melodic chant, resonating through the howling storm outside. Jace stood firm, his grip tightening around the burning shard, his blue eyes flickering between determination and unease. Elias Vaughn took a step back, his obsidian-black armor wreathed in wisps of white smoke. His plasma rifle quivered slightly in his grasp as he gritted his teeth, his gray eyes betraying a flicker of panic. "You cannot keep it," Elias roared, his voice laced with fury. "The ember belongs to me," Jace smirked, though the heat from the ember seared his palm. "It chose me, Elias, not you. I don't know if I can control it, but I won't let him win." Caliph stepped forward, her energy blade igniting in a brilliant crimson arc, her red eyes burning with unshakable resolve. "He is the heat-bearer," she declared, her breath crystallizing in the freezing air. "You've already lost." A sudden explosion shattered the moment, drowning out the ember's song. From the blizzard's thick veil, a small craft roared into view, its engines howling as streaks of blue plasma fire rained down upon the Novacorp soldiers flanking Elias. Ice fractured and shattered as the ship touched down, its hull hissing in the cold. The side hatch slid open with a sharp hiss, and Mira leaped out, her short windswept green hair wild with motion. Clutching a customized energy pistol, her sharp gaze swept the battlefield. "Jace," she shouted, urgency mixed with palpable relief. "I finally found you." Jace turned, his blue eyes widening slightly. "Mira, you're alive. One more person I haven't lost." Mira fired off a green energy blast, forcing the Novacorp troops back as they scrambled for cover amid the swirling snow. "I followed the ember's signal," she called, sprinting toward Jace. It flared up like a damn beacon. Elias twisted, narrowly dodging Mira's shot, his voice turning to ice. "Another nuisance. I'll kill all three of you." Caliph lunged, her blade slicing a radiant arc toward Elias. He deflected with his rifle, the crackling impact of red energy against blue plasma, sending a shockwave through the ice, fracturing it further. Seizing the moment, Jace dashed toward Mira, gripping the ember tightly. "Please tell me you have a plan," he rasped. Mira smirked, tossing him a compact energy core. "Modified smoke charge," she explained. "Pop it and get on the ship. I'll get you out of here." Jace nodded and activated the core. "Caliph, fall back," he bellowed, hurling the device toward Elias. Mira fired a precise shot, striking the core mid-air. It detonated in a blinding burst of white vapor, engulfing the crevasse in thick smoke. Chaos erupted, muffled shouts, disoriented gunfire, the crunch of boots skidding over ice. Caliph withdrew swiftly, her blade still ablaze. Her red eyes locked onto Jace. "Are you all right?" she asked, her voice taut with concern. "I'm fine," Jace replied, though his hand trembled slightly from the ember's heat. "But it's still calling to me." "What does Aethyr want?" "Now, I've already made my choice." Mira grabbed his arm, pulling both him and Caliph toward the waiting ship. "Move it. Novacorp won't let this slide." They leaped into the cabin, the hatch sealing shut with a metallic thud. Engines roared, lifting the ship skyward, drowning out the chaos below. Jace sank into a seat, clutching the fire shard as its crimson glow pulsed against his face. The song had faded, but its echoes lingered in his mind. "I have it. But can I keep control of myself?" Caliph settled beside him, placing a steadying hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she said, her voice calm yet firm. "The Ember accepted your choice." Mira emerged from the cockpit, her sharp gaze betraying a trace of worry. "Did it really?" she asked. "The signal's still unstable. Elias will come after us." Jace stared at the Ember, unease curling in his gut. "I don't know," he murmured, "but I won't let it control me." From the blizzard's depths, the distant hum of Novacorp engines grew louder. Mira clenched her jaw, gripping the controls. "Hold on," she muttered. "We're not out of this yet." The Ember's song stirred once more, faint but undeniable. Jace felt the power coil within him, unfamiliar yet intoxicating. But he was still Jace, not Aethyr, not yet. Mira's ship streaked across Arendor's gray skies, its engines howling loud enough to drown out the howling storm outside. Light from the planet's 3 moons pierced the dense clouds, casting pale streaks of silver across the frozen plains below. Inside the cabin, Jace Calder gripped the fire shard tightly. Its pulsing red glow danced across his face, reflecting in his icy blue eyes, now flickering with a trace of confusion. A song rose from the shard, faint but unmistakable, threading through the engine's roar like a whisper echoing from a long-buried past. Caliph sat beside him, her energy blade dormant, crimson eyes fixed on him with quiet concern. Mira turned from the cockpit, hands clenched on the flight controls. Her voice was sharp with urgency. "Jace, the shard's signal is still unstable. Elias will trace us, soon." Jace frowned, his hand trembling slightly as he stared at the fire shard. "It won't stop," he muttered. The song was growing louder, inside his mind. "What do they want now?" "I've already made my choice." "Mira, can you hide it?" Mira gritted her teeth, fingers flying across the controls. "I'm trying," she said. "But it's alive, Jace. It doesn't listen to me." Caliph cut in, her voice low, tense. "It's not just alive. It's awakening. I can feel it. Through your heat." Jace turned to her, a flicker of unease flashing in his eyes. "Awakening? What are you saying, Red Eyes? I don't want to hear this, but why can't I let it go?" Caliph placed a hand over his, her warmth flowing into the shard, connecting. "Put it down," she said. "Let me read its heat memories. We need to understand what it wants." Reluctantly, Jace set the fire shard down on the floor. Its glow surged, brilliant and blinding, engulfing them both in a crimson haze. The ship around them dissolved, and in its place, Aethyr rose. Cities floated between stars. Towers of golden energy shone with impossible brilliance. Silver-hued people sang hymns of peace in unison. Jace stood frozen, heart pounding, the sensation overwhelming. "This isn't me. But why does it feel like home?" Caliph gasped, her crimson eyes wide. "What do you see, Jace?" "A city," he said hoarsely. "They're singing, like your ancestors." But then, the vision twisted. Flames erupted, towers collapsed, the people dissolved into red light, their essence drawn into the shard. A voice echoed, deep and full of grief. "We chose to live forever, and lost everything. You are the bridge through which we return." Caliph stepped back, her hand trembling. "Aethyr," she whispered. They want to live again. Through you. Through us. Jace clutched his head. Visions of Aethyr blurred with his own memories. A burning house. His mother's scream. But now, a new detail. A figure of silver flame stood in the fire, red eyes watching him. Mother. No. It can't be. I don't understand, he murmured, gripping the folding blade at his side. If I'm their bridge, why am I human? Mira's voice cut through like a blade. Jace, snap out of it. Novacorp is 5 minutes away. The red light faded. The ship returned. The engines hummed low and steady. Jace reached for the shard again, its heat searing into his palm. A wave of conflict churned inside him. What do they want me to become? He asked, voice trembling. One of them. I don't want to lose myself. Kaleth gripped his shoulder, her red eyes filled with fire. You won't, she said. You are, Jace. Even with Aethyr's flame inside. I believe in you. Mira leaned in, her hands locked on the controls. Whoever you are, I need you here. Elias isn't going to wait. Jace stared at the shard. The song was quieter now, but still there. I won't let them control me, he said, voice rough. But if my mother was Aethyr, then what am I? Mira, punch it. I need time to think. Mira nodded and slammed the throttle. The ship bucked as it tore through the snowstorm. Hang in there, she said. I'm not letting them take us. Suddenly a sharp beep rang from the console. Mira's brow furrowed. She checked the screen. New signal, she said, her voice tight. Not Novacorp, it's Torvin. Kaleth stiffened, a flash of alarm in her crimson gaze. Torvin, he wants to destroy the fire shard. Jace spun around, tightening his grip on the shard. What does he want? Now, he muttered. Novacorp behind, Torvin ahead. We're trapped. The shard sang again, louder this time, urgent. A distant explosion rattled the ship. They were far from safe. And Aethyr was far from done. Mira's ship skimmed across the frozen plains of Arendor, its engines growling weakly beneath the howling blizzard winds. The red glow from the fire shard in Jace Calder's hand pulsed steadily, casting eerie patterns on the frost-covered windshield. Inside the cockpit, Jace sat in silence, his icy blue eyes scanning the blinking signals on the display. 2 threats closing in. Novacorp trailing behind, and Torvin's Cryon vessel directly ahead. The fire shard's song whispered in his mind, again, faint but persistent, like a distant echo of Aethyr itself. Kaleth stood beside him, her energy blade clenched tight, red eyes burning with tension. Mira gritted her teeth, hands gripping the control yoke. Torvin's blocking our path. She said, breath sharp. Novacorp's 3 minutes out, we're boxed in. Jace frowned, fingers tightening around the fire shard. Torvin wants to destroy it, he muttered. Elias wants to claim it. And me? I'm not even sure what I want anymore. Keep it, destroy it. Kaleth turned toward him, her voice low, but steady. You are the heat-bearer. The fire shard needs you, for balance. Suddenly, a hologram blinked to life on the dashboard. Torvin appeared, long silver hair, blade-sharp crimson eyes, his Cryon armor etched with swirling etheric sigils. Kaleth, he said, his voice cold through the speakers. Hand over the heat thief and the fire shard. I will destroy it. It's the only way to save my people. Kaleth's grip tightened, her red eyes flaring with fury. You're wrong, Torvin. The fire shard is not a curse. Jace cut in, voice laced with defiance. Destroy it? You're too late. It's already chosen me, even if I never asked for it. Torvin narrowed his eyes, locking onto Jace through the projection. You're no Cryon. You don't understand what it is. I understand enough, Jace replied, raising the fire shard. It sings to me. It doesn't want to die. Mira interrupted, voice tense. Save the arguing for later. Novacorp's almost on us. A blast echoed in the distance, shaking the hull. A streak of blue plasma slashed past the windshield, slamming into the wing. with a deafening crack. Mira yanked the controls. The ship lurched violently through the snowstorm. "We can't fight both," she shouted. Kaleth looked at Jace, torn. Her red eyes flicked to the hologram. "Torvin," she said, "help us take down Novacorp first. Then, take what you will." Torvin paused. Doubt flickered in his crimson gaze. "Ally with a heat thief? You've lost your mind, Kaleth." Jace smirked, clutching the fire shard tighter. "Crazy or not, Novacorp will kill us all. Your call, old man. He hates me, but I need him alive." The fire shard's song swelled, as if urging him forward. Torvin's jaw clenched, his voice dropped. "Fine. But after this, I'm taking the fire shard. From your hand, or your corpse." The hologram cut out. Outside, Torvin's vessel turned, and a crimson streak of energy slashed out, intercepting Novacorp's incoming ship. Jace exhaled, but the weight in his chest remained. "A fragile alliance," he muttered. "He'll turn on us the first chance he gets." Mira glanced back, eyes flickering with cautious relief. "Better than nothing," she said. "I'm pushing speed. Keep that fire shard steady." Jace nodded, lowering the shard onto the ship's floor. Its song quieted, but an etheric memory slipped through. Red flames, a silver-lit figure watching him, eyes as red as Kaleth's. Mother, or just another illusion? "Kaleth," he said hoarsely. "If I am Aethyr, why don't I remember anything?" Kaleth looked at him, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. "The fire shard within you is Aethyr," she said. "But your soul is human. And that is your strength." Mira cut in again, urgency in her voice. "I don't care what kind of strength, just make sure it keeps us alive today." A second explosion rang out, closer this time, rocking the ship. Jace glanced out the viewport, spotting Torvin's crimson fire clashing with Novacorp's blue barrage. "He's holding them off," Jace said, "but not for long." Kaleth nodded, her blade glowing once more. "Then we get ready," she said, eyes lit with fierce determination. "Novacorp won't stop." Jace tightened his grip on the folding blade at his side, his resolve flaring with both fear and fire. "Neither will I," he whispered. "Human or Aethyr, I'll survive." Outside, Novacorp engines roared louder. Plasma. Bolts charging, guns whining. The fragile alliance had begun. But danger still lurked at every turn. The frozen plains of Arendor trembled as Mira's ship touched down, its thrusters whining into silence beneath the howling storm. Jace Calder leapt onto the ice, boots crunching on the brittle surface, one hand gripping the flickering red shard of the fire shard. Its song filled his mind, low, insistent, urgent. Kaleth followed close behind, her energy blade blazing, crimson eyes slicing through the blizzard. Not far ahead, Torvin's Cryan ship burned with crimson light, clashing violently with the blue plasma fire of Novacorp. Sharp explosions echoing across the icy wasteland. Mira rushed to join them, a homemade energy rifle clutched tight in her hands. "Torvin's holding but barely. We've got to help him." Jace frowned, his thumb igniting his own green energy blade. "Help him? He'd stab me in the back the moment it's over. Still, without him, we're already dead." Kaleth turned, her voice calm but steeled. "He's Cryan. I trust he'll fight Novacorp. What happens after? I'll deal with it." Novacorp engines roared closer, a blue plasma bolt slicing past them, blasting an ice pillar into shards with a deafening crack. Jace rolled to avoid the blast, the fire shard glowing hot in his palm. "Fine," he growled. "We fight first, arguments later." Torvin emerged from the storm, armor bloodied, silver hair clinging to his face, crimson blade cleaving a Novacorp soldier who crumpled onto the frost. "Heat thief," he snarled, red eyes locking on Jace. "You're still breathing?" "Barely," Jace shot back, blasting another soldier aside. "Nice to see you too." Mira moved up beside them, her rifle blazing as she drove back a squad of attackers. Less chit-chat, more firepower. Elias is coming. Through the swirling haze, Elias Vaughn stepped into view. His obsidian armor gleaming, a massive plasma rifle humming in his grip. "Jace," he said, voice like ice. "The fire shard belongs to me. You can't win." Jace tightened his grip. Defiance rising in his chest. "You already took Echo. I won't let you take this." Kalith lunged, her blade carving a red arc toward Elias. He fired back, blue plasma crashing against red light, energy colliding with a thunderclap that shook the ground. Jace surged forward, blade stabbing toward Elias's leg, but the man shoved him down, sending him sprawling across the cracked ice. Torvin dispatched another soldier, turning toward Jace with contempt. "You're weak," he spat. "Give me the seed. I'll destroy it myself." "No," Kalith shouted, pulling Jace to his feet, blade raised. "He is the heat-bearer," Elias sneered, leveling his rifle again. "The heat-bearer? He's just Aethyr's puppet." It scrambled upright, hands shaking around the fire shard. Its song surged louder, and again came the vision. Red flames. A silver figure whispering. "You are our strength, strength. All I ever wanted was to live." "I'm no puppet," Jace roared, charging Elias, slamming his blade into the rifle's barrel. Red and blue light exploded in a burst that flung them both back. Jace gasped, the seed burning hot against his skin. "I'm Jace Calder," he whispered, eyes blazing. "Human or Aethyr, I won't quit." Mira laid down cover fire, pushing back the Novacorp line. "Jace, get up. We're not done." Torvin glanced his way, doubt flickering behind crimson eyes. "You're stubborn," he muttered, slicing through another soldier. "But the seed will still be mine." Elias rose, rifle aimed straight at Jace's heart. "No one gets it," he said coldly, finger tightening on the trigger. The battle was far from over. The blizzard on Arindor howled like a wrathful beast, flinging shards of ice that glittered under the crimson light of the fire shard. Jace Calder stood firm in the frozen wasteland, feet braced against the slicing wind, his right hand clenched around the fire shard, the green energy blade in his left flickering unsteadily. The fire shard's song no longer whispered, it surged through his mind like an ancient choir. A fusion of power and desperate will to survive. Across from him, Elias Vaughn stood tall, his black armor streaked with ghostly smoke, plasma rifle locked onto Jace, cold gray eyes ablaze with the madness of a man tasting godhood. "You've run out of road," Elias growled, voice rumbling above the storm. "The fire shard belongs to me." Jace gritted his teeth, eyes blazing with defiance. Heat radiated from the fire shard, flooding through his veins, seeping into his bones. "No, Elias, it doesn't belong to you." He drew a long breath. "Echo's gone, but I won't let you take anything else." Kalith struck like a red flash, her energy blade carving arcs of deadly light through the swirling air as she lunged for Elias. He spun, firing a crackling bolt of blue plasma. Energy met energy midair in a blinding collision that shattered the ice beneath them with a thunderous crack. The ground trembled, but Jace didn't budge. Nearby, Torvin stood clad in blood-streaked silver armor, his blade dripping from a fresh Novacorp kill, his glowing red eyes locked onto Jace, filled with mistrust and fury. "Heat thief," Torvin bellowed, voice raw with hate. "Give me the fire shard. I'll destroy it myself. It's the only way to save my people." Mira burst through the snow, her makeshift energy weapon spitting pale blue bolts, forcing back advancing Novacorp troops. "Jace, hold on," she shouted over the storm. "Don't let any of them get it." Jace's heart thundered in his chest. He raised the fire shard high, and its crimson light erupted around him, cloaking him in a radiant halo. The song became a voice, clear, commanding, resonating deep within him. "You are the bridge. Use our strength." Strength? Jace narrowed his eyes, a crooked smile tugging at his lips. "Fine, let's end this." "Kalith," he called, voice hoarse from the cold. "Do you trust me?" Kalith twisted, dodging another plasma bolt from Elias. Her burning red gaze met his, not just with trust, but deep, in spoken understanding. "I do," she replied, unwavering. "You're the heat-bearer, Jace. You always were." Elias lunged, too fast for anyone to stop. He slammed the plasma rifle into Jace's chest, sending him sprawling across the ice. The breath whooshed from his lungs as Elias grabbed the fire shard with claw-like fingers. Finally, Elias roared, eyes wide with greed, staring at the artifact glowing in his grasp. The power of the gods. Jace struggled upright, breath fogging in the frigid air. The pain in his body dulled beneath the searing sight of Elias holding the fire shard. He raised his hand, not with a weapon, but with sheer will and the truth he'd only now accepted. "No," he shouted, the word tearing through the storm like fire. From the depths of memory rose the inferno that once consumed his family, but now he understood. He hadn't burned in that fire. He had survived it, because he belonged to it. "I am Jace Calder, and no one controls me." The fire shard's song surged, merging with his will like twin rivers rushing to the sea. Crimson light burst from his palm, tracing glowing patterns across his skin like molten veins. The fire shard in Elias's hand trembled, then tore free, as if alive, streaking back to Jace like a comet. He caught it, and the heat no longer scorched. It belonged inside him, flowing through his body like lifeblood. The red light flared around him, not destructive, but nourishing, reborn. "It's over," he whispered, raising the fire shard high. A blazing red pulse erupted, not from the fire shard, but from him, crashing into Elias's chest like an earthquake made of fire. Elias was hurled backward, his black armor shattered, rifle clattering across the ice. He lay still, breath faint, misting weakly in the cold. Torvin staggered back, blade lowering, his eyes wide in rare disbelief. "You control it?" Kalith stepped beside Jace, her blade dim, voice calm and resolute. "He's the bridge, Torvin, not a destroyer, a redeemer." Mira rushed to Jace's side, helping him stand as his knees buckled from exhaustion. "You did it, old friend," she murmured, a smile tugging at her weathered face. Jace gasped for breath, the fire shard still pulsing gently in his grip like a second heart. Its song now quiet, no longer a cry for help, but a hymn of gratitude. "Aethyr didn't erase me," he thought. "I'm still me, but more. I won't destroy it," he said, locking eyes with Torvin, "but I won't let it destroy anyone either. Not Cryan, not humanity." Torvin's jaw clenched, his expression torn between deep-rooted belief and the undeniable truth before him. After a long pause, he gave a single nod, one that spoke louder than any vow. "Keep it," he muttered, churning away, "but I'll be watching you." Jace Calder, heat-bearer. The storm began to ease, as if even the planet bowed to the bottle's end. The remaining Novacorp troops withdrew into the swirling mist, dragging their wounded in Elias's limp form behind them. Jace looked to Kalith, then to Mira, relief washing over him like a crashing wave. Tinged with bone-deep fatigue, he was trembling, not from cold, but from what was left of the fire inside. "Are we done?" he asked, voice cracked and raw. Kalith placed a hand on his shoulder, her red eyes soft as dusk over the desert. "Not yet," she said gently, "but for today, it's enough." 3 days after the battle on Arindor, Myra's ship was docked on a rocky ledge at the edge of a desolate canyon. The sun was setting in the distance, casting hues of purple and orange across the sky, which reflected off the icy snow, creating a surreal painting. Jace sat on a flat stone, the fire shard resting in his palm, its red light flickering steadily like a heartbeat. "Try again," Kalith said, standing beside him, her energy sword deactivated, her red eyes focused intently. Jace nodded, closing his eyes and focusing on the song. No longer was it the chaotic noise, but a melody he could control, like an instrument he had mastered. The heat from the fire shard spread at his will, gathering at his fingertips, then flaring up into a small flame that hovered, far from the stone, suspended in midair. "Better," Kalith nodded, a rare smile tugging at the corner of her lips. "The heat listens to me," Jace said, his voice filled with awe. "It's like a part of me, because it is a part of you." Kalith replied, sitting down beside him. "You are not fully Aethyr, nor are you entirely human. You are both, and that is what makes you special." Mira stepped out from the ship, holding a small scanning device. Novacorp's signal is weakening, she said. They've pulled out of this system. But not forever. Elias? Jace asked, gripping the fire shard tighter. Alive, Mira shrugged, and he's awake. I've connected with some old contacts. He's furious, but badly injured. Jace nodded, turning back to the small flame still hovering at his fingertips. He gently flicked his hand, and the flame soared upward, blooming into the shape of a phoenix before vanishing into the sunset sky. And Torvin and Cryan? He asked, turning to Calith. He kept his word, she replied. He won't attack us, but he will watch. Cryan still fears the fire shard, but some have started hearing of the Heatbearer. A cold wind swept through, but for the first time since his memory returned, Jace didn't feel the chill, the heat from within him, from the fire shard, from his connection to the Aethyr, kept him warm despite standing in the snow. And us? He asked, looking at his companions. Mira smiled softly. If you're asking me, we should find a quiet place to rest. But I know you won't do that. I can't. Jace shook his head. The Aethyr called me for a reason. And now, he paused, raising the fire shard high, its red light gleaming and reflecting in his green eyes, now streaked with faint red veins like small rivers on a map. Now I need to learn more, he said, about my mother, about the Aethyr, about why I'm still alive after that fire. And, he turned to Calith, about the other fire shards. Calith flinched, her red eyes whitening. You hear them? Jace nodded, faintly, far away, but they're calling. 3 pieces, scattered across the galaxy. Mira sighed, patting her gun. So, we're off again? Yes, Jace said, standing up, the fire shard glowing in his hand. But this time, I'm not running. I'm going to find the answers. Calith stood, her energy sword flaring to life in her hand, the red light blending with the setting sun. We will find them together. Jace looked up at the sky, where the first stars began to twinkle, somewhere in the vastness of the universe. The remaining pieces of the fire shard were waiting. Somewhere in the past, the secret of his origins still lay hidden. But for the first time since he had fled the burning house, Jace Calder no longer felt lost. He was the Heatbearer, and the heat had awakened. Mira, he said, his voice firm, prepare the ship. We have stars to explore.